on this. Thanks again, big dog. So are you okay publicly sharing this record with us, publicly sharing this recording of your story?
Oh yeah, yes.
Sweet. Thank you. Is everything in your story as you remember it to the best of your ability?
Yes.
As the best as okay. Is there any pending legal actions that could place you or someone you mentioned from your story in danger of prosecution or further legal action?
No.
Sweet. I will mute myself and you take off from there, homeboy.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, family, wherever you're at this moment in time. My name is Daniel, and I'm definitely an alcoholic. So, not too familiar on how to go about this, but my story is my story, so I guess I can't mess it up. Let's start back. I'll just take a quick qualification of myself and where I was before I get to what happened. And I want to say I was maybe about 14, maybe 12 when I took my very first drink. And it was at that moment in time that I realized. I remember I was with my grandpa. It was a family reunion. We just got back from Germany, and playing softball. All the relatives are there, and my dad, my grandpa, they're all having a couple Budweisers, and they said, and I looked at him like I was the big man. I was like, what is that? And my grandpa handed it to me. I remember taking my first drink right then and there at that family reunion. I did the ultimate. I put it to my mouth. I took this first, I put it all, a nice little mouthful, and then I stopped and I held it for about 30 seconds. Worst thing I could ever do. It was at that point in time I realized I didn't like alcohol because I went back around the tent and I threw it all up. So I know that when I did become an alcoholic, it wasn't for the taste. I don't favor the taste of alcohol at all. Still to this day, it was all for the effects. So that was just my first experience. Moving right along, I got to a point in my life where I was a big sports player. I was born in Germany. My mom's full German. My dad's full Mexican. He joined the army at an early age. They came from alcoholic backgrounds, but they chose not to go that route, which is really awesome because I never was raised around that stuff. You know what I mean? I was never raised around drugs. I was never raised. My dad was full blown, take care of the family stuff. My mom was, super excited to be a part of that. So they took care of me being the firstborn. It's just me and my sister. And I was the baby. So I got into sports and I played them very well till I got to about high school. So for me, being that we went from Germany to the United States every 2 years, Germany to accommodate my mom, then the United States somewhere. I've been to a lot of states, and every 2 years my dad would get transferred back to Germany, back to the United States, back to Germany. So I never really attached myself to anybody, but I did attach myself to sports, and so I got really good at it. My dad ended up retiring out here in California. It was there that I was in junior high. I still played sports. I still didn't have to worry because you don't have to worry about grades and stuff until you hit high school to keep playing sports. And I was still never big on school. So once I hit high school, my grades kept me out of sports. That's taken away the only thing I felt that I had going for myself. The only way I knew how to make friends was in sports. The only way I knew how to communicate with people was through sports. I get to high school, sports was no longer an issue because my grades were too low. And I had no intentions of building them back up. I loved PE and I loved math. You know what I mean? So took away the sports. Next thing I know, I have to find myself. I'm like a chameleon. I've learned that I'm like a chameleon. I can fall into a group and feel comfortable with somebody. And the group that I fell into with next was the ones that was involved in the partying, the ones that was involved with the drinking and the smoking and the using and everything like that. And it was really easy to get into because as long as you had something, people were willing to be your friend. And in high school, those were fun times. You know what I mean? There was no shutting down the bars. I was too young to go to a bar, but there was no shutting down anybody's party house either. We was there all night. And it progressed. And it was just like when I took that first drink, I remember I did not drink at all whatsoever for the taste. There wasn't a good tasting drink out there for me. the using came because it allowed me to drink more and more. But then, yeah, I don't know. I just know that I never drank for the taste. I drank because something inside of me felt that if everybody else was doing it, I needed to do it too. I needed to fit in with a crowd, and I needed to fit in with them fast. And that's what I did. Found myself getting in a lot of trouble then after that, like serious trouble, juvenile hall, jail, trying to send me to therapy and all that stuff. I remember being so scared going to juvenile hall and until the first time was over. Then it became natural. I remember getting sent to jail for the first time, super scared, fear, until I started going back more and more, that it became a check-in with people that I knew. You know what I mean? It was weird. So it became a comfortable zone, so it didn't even matter. So now my life is built on, this is my only, me going to jail was, I learned my only chance to get recovery, but I didn't know what recovery was the first couple times I was going. I just knew when I went in there, I was so scared that I didn't want to put anything in my system that would take me out of the reality of something could happen at any given moment here. I need to be on my toes. So I always stayed clean when I was locked up. I guess I watched too many of those prison movies when I was growing up. I don't know. But, so I always had that opportunity. And what I learned is I got into recovery probably in 2005. Before then, I got out on a couple times and went to a couple meetings, dropped my meeting slip off, found out I didn't have to stay for the meeting, and I come back, pick it up in an hour and appease the course that way. That didn't last too long until I finally got sent to a couple programs. One of them was the Salvation Army out in San Jose, California. 6-month program that I didn't care for 5.5 months. I didn't care for it because it was something different and I would have to change right away. You know what I mean? And I wasn't ready for that. I was more comfortable back in my cell with the people that I knew, opposed to going to a different town. I was from Salinas, California. So San Jose is about 45 minutes away north. And I didn't know anybody out there. I never ventured out that far. I stayed where I was comfortable. But I found myself in recovery out there, 5.5 months of actually trying to do a 12-step program. And I got to the last 2 months, in order to graduate, I had to do a step 4. I didn't know what a step 4 was. I loved going to meetings. I found out meetings were cool, you know what I mean? I was there for all the wrong reasons, though, I'm not gonna lie. We called them skirt meetings, you know what I mean? We never wanted to go to a men's meeting. So I found myself at what was called skirt meetings, and all it took was for one of them girls to catch my attention, and then the whole meeting is out the door, because now I'm just focusing on her. Graduating that program, I decided to stay there because you know what? I had found 6 months of recovery. It wasn't good recovery, but it was 6 months of not using. You know what I mean? 6 months of not drinking. 6 months of I just built brand new friends that were all trying to do the same thing. Well, at least, there's 102 people at that program at any given time. So it was real easy to fit in with people that's there for the same reason. And that was probably just to get out of jail in the beginning, but it ended up changing lives. So I went to the aftermath there and stayed in the sober living house after that. Then I got with my kid's mom and we had a bunch of kids and I did the family thing. Now I'm doing really good. I love recovery. I started to love recovery and everything that's given me, because it's given me a wife, it's given me some kids. My family's happy again. I wasn't tearing down walls and stuff like that. But what I learned after getting out of that program is that I wanted to be a part of society again. And with the sports world, there was football. I love going to football, to go watch football games. And I noticed barbecues and everything, it felt just right to have a beer there. So it was at that moment in time I realized, you know what, I'm an addict. I'm not an alcoholic. I mean, I didn't get sent to jail because I was drinking. I didn't get sent to programs because I was drinking. I got sent because I was high as a kite and I was running around the streets at 3 a.m. That's the main reason why I was out there and going back to jail and doing dumb stuff in the middle of nobody hours. So anyways, yeah, I became an alcoholic, I guess you could say. I was doing it, having fun. We're watching barbecues, or having family come over. We're drinking. We're having good times and everything. And it happened like that for a couple years, just drinking on the weekends and then drinking at barbecues and everything. But then there was that one moment when I went to go watch my brother-in-law play football out of town with his younger brother, and me and the younger brother were drinking the whole way there. And I was so wasted that I knew where the stuff was. Let's just say that. And then so I told him, I said, look, man, I know you got something. I know, and I'm very wasted right now, and I need to get something. And so he's like, no, I can't do it. And I was like, don't play me like a fool. And I ended up doing some. I ended up doing some meth. Who would have thought? I drank myself right back into a needle in my arm. You know what I mean? I would have never thought that. I was not an alcoholic until I did that. And that went onto a bender. And it doesn't happen to me it doesn't happen overnight. It didn't happen to where I just started just going running the gun. And no, it took time. It's like I started using on the weekends and I got away with it, which was crazy. Once I got away with it, when there's no consequences behind it, I'm like, okay, well, that was kind of cool. So I tried it the weekend after, and then I tried it the weekend after. And then after that, it became twice on the weekends. And then it became 3 times, you know, it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then it started getting into work. My kid's mom, who was my wife at that time, she found out about it. She ended up doing the same thing because she was in recovery as well. So I kind of brought it back into the house and ruined the family. I always beat myself up because I ruined the family. You know what I mean? I ruined what I thought what I put together. And her addiction takes her a different way than mine. So we ended up separating really fast and just had a lot of problems, and the kids were caught in the crossfire. Got back down, I ended up losing the house, losing the job, moved back with my parents, brought the kids with me. She's off doing her thing. And all I'm doing down there is just taking up space in my parents' house and causing problems between them two because they know what I'm doing. My family knows what I'm doing, and they don't like it. It's becoming a problem for my dad. My dad is a straightforward person, loves my mom, been together forever, married for years, and he's telling my mom, you know, he needs to go. You need to stop babying him, enabling him, because that's what she did. You need to stop babying and enabling him, or you know, we might have to separate. And when my mom told me that, I felt sad inside, but I wasn't ready to change still. It's like, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? Because I was being selfish, you know what I mean? Self-centered and everything else that you can read in the book. So got back with the kid's mom, one more try. We tried it again, and we decided to move out to Utah. You know, because I got that crazy thought. We both had that crazy thought high in our addiction that California is the problem. We know too many people out here. If we stick around California, we're doomed. We got nothing going for us out here except for just going back to jail and keep getting in more trouble. So California is the problem. So we packed up our stuff and we ended up leaving, not knowing that I'm bringing me with me. And I didn't even know what that was until I found recovery, which is a cool thing. But so we came out here and figured that Utah was a place with Mormons, a lot of religion. So we have a good chance of staying sober out here. You know, they probably don't have drugs out here because of all the religion that's out here. That was a mistake that we found out real soon. Being out here for about 6 months, it didn't take long before we found just one person that could always get it. So the fight to stay sober didn't last nothing but a thought is all it was. Because as soon as we reached out here, that's kind of the first thing we looked for. Ended up becoming homeless after about 6 months. We couldn't make it together. 6 months homeless, never been out of California really, never been homeless really, ever, and found myself out here homeless in the wintertime in Utah in the snow. It was crazy. Did what I had to do, survives. Walmart was my #1 offender. They were my #1 victim. Sorry. I lived at Walmart. I pretty much felt like they owed me everything. And I walked in there like I was king of the world, and I took whatever I needed and went right behind Walmart where I had a little tent set up and stayed there. And then I wake up in the morning, go back into Walmart and go back. So it was crazy. And yeah. I ended up going to Reno after about a year and a half. Went down to Reno and I found out I have another addiction. I went down to Reno. I went down to California, right at the borderline of Nevada and California to go visit somebody. On my way back, I had $40. I ended up putting in a machine and I won like $1,600. And all I had was a 5-hour downtime from the bus. So I ended up staying there. I was like, well, I'm going to stay here for 2 days. Since I got all this money I just won. It's check out Reno. The crazy part is that I called this girl up from California and I told her to come meet me out there in Reno. I paid for her ticket to come out there already. All she had to do was catch the bus that first morning, right in the morning, and then I'll meet her at the bus stop. That night, I ended up buying some dope. I ended up drinking, and I ended up cashing in by about 4 o'clock in that morning. I had cashed in the room that I had paid for 2 days, cashed that out, was fat broke. I met this girl at the bus stop with the story that, you know what, I have nothing for us. All I had was the ticket that you came out here on, and I couldn't cash that in just to keep you back out there otherwise. So this girl, she had built a resentment. And what happened, I ended up being homeless in Reno for the next 8 months, sleeping in the train tracks. And every little bit of money I had would go towards gambling or would go towards using. Finally got a call from the kid's mom. This was kind of a life-changing moment for me. She talked me into coming back up here because never have I been away from my kids for so long. I've been around them since they were born, through the good and the bad. So when I came back up here, I ended up going right behind Walmart where I know is best. And I had a tent set up out there. And I remember it was hot. And I remember the kids coming to the lake, right to the river right there. And we went swimming. And we were having a good time. And they were happy to see their dad and everything. It was one of those moments of, this is what it's all about, for about an hour. It only lasted about an hour. I had a great time with them for about an hour until that high came down. I knew I had some in the tent. Now, after that hour, my whole head is thinking, man, don't they have somewhere they need to go? Shouldn't mom take them somewhere else? You guys don't got something to do. All I wanted for them to do was leave after an hour so I can go get high. It's a crazy thought, because I love my kids to death these days. To even look back on that, it's like, wow. But that's where I was in my addiction. Nothing mattered except for me getting my next fix. And I didn't care who was around there. It was important to me. It didn't matter when I was coming down. I just wanted to be alone. So anyways, I ended up getting, ended up catching a couple cases. I found myself in jail out here in Utah. Now, this is not a check-in spot for me because I don't know nobody out here. So I went into jail in Utah and I didn't know anybody. And I got 5 charges from 5 different counties from 5 different Walmarts, which was crazy. So when I got locked up, what was crazy was that I remembered, this is my chance at sobriety. This is my only chance to get recovery again. I've been through this, Daniel. You've been through this so many times back home, every time. And then when you would get out, all you did was bump into somebody. And it was, okay, yeah, sure, I'll go with you to the hotel. Everybody's over there. Let's go hang out. And that was it. My recovery was gone. Any chance that I had to stay sober was gone. Well, out here, somehow, some way, I managed to talk my mom into bailing me out. She sent the money to get me out on bail. After I got bounced around, I had a bail. And I got out and I reached out to one person. I don't want to say her name, but she was in recovery for a while. And she directed me to the Alano Club. She said, Daniel, when you get out, you can't stay at my house. You know what I mean? You've already abused that. You can't stay at my house. What you have to do is go to the homeless shelter. But as soon as you get up from the homeless shelter, go to the Alano Club. I'm like, all right. She's all, look for some guy named John B. And he's been sitting there for years. So when I got to the Alano Club, I walked in there and I asked the guy if I could use the phone because I wanted to call this place called Valley Camp. And John was there and he started explaining this to me. And greatest thing ever was the decision to reach out to him. So I got on the waiting list, and I got out on bail on Monday. By Friday, I was accepted and I was going to get picked up at 5 o'clock in front of the Alano Club. Now, mind you, this is one of the important parts for me, my any lengths moments for me. When I got out on bail on Monday, I immediately, as I went to the Alano Club, I knew my kids were close by. I would reach out and play with them and hang out with them at the library, at the park for that whole week, for hours. And I didn't have to worry about going to use because I haven't used for quite some time now since I've been locked up. So I spent most of my time with them that whole week. I told them what I was doing. They were all excited until 5 o'clock that Friday afternoon when the guy came to pick me up to take me to Valley Camp. Is when I was getting in the car and my kids start breaking down crying. Daddy, don't go. Daddy, don't go. You know, I built a relationship with them within a week, and my heart just fell. My heart fell because I was thinking that now my head starts playing with me. You know what? You don't need to go to this program. You need to take care of these kids. You know what I mean? You need to stay back and be a man, and whatever you got to do. Look what you just built these kids up to. You need to stay with them and take care of them now. And then another part of me is telling me, Dad, you're still homeless. You ain't got nothing going for you. If you don't go to this program and give it a chance, then it won't be long before you find yourself into temptation again. So as I'm getting in the car and we're driving away, the kids are running. I'm just holding back tears. That was my any given moment. You know what I mean? My any length moment. You know what I mean? One of the hardest things to do was to leave them behind and try to take this new chapter into my life of recovery without them even being a part of it for the next 3 months. You know, tell an alcoholic or an addict he's going to be away for 3 months, has to leave his kids, how many things I have to take care of before I leave, how many things I'm going to be missing out on in those 3 months. You know what I mean? That's a long time. You know what I mean? One day at a time. I've never heard of that. I'm thinking 3 months I've gone for my kids. You know what? I don't know what to expect. Maybe I'll last a month. Maybe I'll give it a chance. On the way up to Valley Camp, I remember the guy that's taking me up there told me, Daniel, this 3 months may seem like it's a long time, but it could change the rest of your life. And I said, cool, man. I took that opportunity. So I went up to Valley Camp for 3 months. During that process, I went up with a shoulder backpack with clothes and everything that I owned. That was it. Went up there and I took the opportunity to actually listen. I picked up a sponsor. Didn't know what a sponsor was. Picked up a sponsor. I got into the steps. I got to that 4th step. Again, I got honest. You know what I mean? I got really honest, and I broke down and told. I had a lot of pages of stuff that needed to be done, and I did it. You know, and I said this in meetings before. When I was done with my 5th step, the heavens didn't open up. It wasn't even a sunny day. It rained on me that day. You know, it was but when I came back to the cabin where all the guys were, and they're all looking at me like, how'd it go? You know what? My head was a little higher. You know what I mean? My shoulders stood a little bit more broad. You know what I mean? I felt a relief. Some kind of relief just came off of my back. You know what I mean? So I completed the steps there. I started to reach out to my hand because I was told that fellowshipping is a vital part of my recovery. So everybody that came up to Valley Camp, even though I didn't know them, I went up to them and greeted them as if they were visitors to this place. And they've been up there probably 100 times more than me. And by doing so, when I left Valley Camp, it enabled me to put myself out to be known by a lot of people. So my very first meeting when I came down here at the Alana Club was a 7 o'clock meeting the very next day. And somebody knew me. You know what I mean? And it felt great because they knew me from Valley Camp. You know what I mean? So I felt a part of. I believe that for me, being a part of something has always been important in my life. I have to be a part of something. You know what I mean? Feel like I belong. You know what I mean? And that's what happened with recovery. I didn't come out of the Valley Camp and life changed dramatically. It didn't. I went straight back to the homeless shelter. I stayed there for another 9 months at the homeless shelter. But every morning I'd wake up and I'd go to the club. And during that, after that 9 months, during that 9 months, around the 7-month mark, I got a job. Once I got the job, then I was able to start saving some money. On my 1-year mark, the promises started really coming true because on my 1-year mark was the same day that I ended up getting keys to my first apartment out here. Was about 2 weeks later, my kids, I brought them over to show them the apartment. They came over, they stayed the night, and they haven't left since. This was in 2019, and it's 2021. My kids still stay with me. Actually 2020 when I got the apartment, March 6th, 2020, my 1-year mark. And my kids haven't left since. And now I get to appreciate them a whole lot more. Like they come with me to meetings, we go out places, we have fun. I mean, I don't know. I just know that these promises, they seem extravagant in the beginning. Yes, they sure do. They seem super extravagant, but you know what? As long as I keep working this program, and there's one slogan I'll end with. You know, there's one thing that I saw at Valley Camp that sits very true with me, something I kind of live by. It says the first thing I put in front of my recovery is the second thing I lose. And I understood that because if I put my recovery first above my kids and everything else, then everything that comes after my recovery will get treated first class. And that's where I'm at with my kids right now, and my family, and everybody that I built a relationship with. They get the best of me, and I get to be someone to them. So I don't know if I get a lot out of that, but you know, I'm just gonna leave it at that right now.